Welcome back to Fun Fluencies with Magically Talented. In this episode, we will practice making a 10 to add. We can use this strategy in 4 easy steps. 1. Complete the tens frame. This will give us something to look at and help our brains understand what we're doing. Next, we will decompose or break apart one of our add-ins, which is one of our numbers. Then we will make a 10 to help us with our last step, which is to add. We'll add our 2 new numbers together. Let's start by reading our letter to learn more about our task. Dear scholars, we can use what we know about partners to 10 and making the next 10 to make an easier problem to add. On the following slides, work to make a 10 to add, then share the new, easier problem. Happy counting! So we will take what we know about partners to 10 and making the next 10 to help us add. Let's get started. 9 plus 8. We can make a 10 to make an easier problem to help us add. First, let's look at the tens frame. How many more does 9 need to fill up its 10 frame and get to 10? Yes, it needs 1 more. Where do you think we can get 1 more from? If you said we can get 1 more from the 8, you are correct. Now we have a full tens frame, and there are 7 dots left over in our other tens frame. Now let's look back at our 9 plus 8. Just like we did with the tens frame, we can decompose the 8. Let's take 1 from the 8 to help 9 make a 10, and we know that we have 7 left over. Let's circle the 9 and 1 to make 10. Now we have an easier problem. We have 10 plus 7. We can do that in our heads. 10 and 7 more is 17. So that also means that 9 plus 8 is 17. 5 plus 8. The first thing we're going to do again is look at those tens frames. We have a tens frame of 5 and another tens frame of 8. Let your eyes look back at the tens frame of 5. How many more does 5 need to fill up its 10 frame and get to 10? If you said 5, you are correct. And where can we get 5 more from? That's right, we can get 5 from the 8. Let's count and make sure we have all 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have a full tens frame here at the top, and we have 3 left over. Now let your eyes look back at the expression at the top, 5 plus 8. We can do the same thing. Let's zoom in on the 8. We can decompose or break apart the 8 to help 5 get to that next 10. So we'll pull out a 5, and if I take 5 away from 8, I know I have 3 more. Let's combine 5 and 5, and we know that gives us a 10. And we have 3 left over. What are we going to do with the 3? All right, look up at that left corner there. We can see the work we did on the page before. We decomposed our 8 into 5 and 3 to help us make 10. So what is our new, easier problem? If you said 10 plus 3, you are correct. We know 10 plus 3, we can use mental math to solve, is 13. So what do we know about 5 plus 8? It is also 13. Excellent work, mathematicians. Before we work on more complex numbers, let's warm up our brains by skip counting by 10. Knowing the tens will help us to make the next 10. Count along with me. Are you ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Now we're ready to make the next 10 to add. We can use the same strategy with larger numbers. 12 plus 9. Let your eyes look at the tens frame. What do you notice? That's right, the numbers are getting bigger. So we won't just make a 10, we're going to use what we know to make the next 10. What is the next 10? The next 10 is 20. Great. How many more does 12 need to fill up its 10 frame and get to that next 10, which is 20? Yes, it needs 8 more. And where can we get 8 more from? If you said the 9, you are correct. Count along with me, mathematicians. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great counting. Now let's look back up at that expression 12 plus 9. And we're going to do the same thing we did in the tens frame. We're going to decompose or break apart the 9 into smaller parts. The first thing we're going to do is pull out an 8 because we know 12 needs 8 more to get to 10. And if I pull 8 out from the 9, I would have just 1 left. Let's combine 12 plus 8 because we need that to make the next 10, which is 20. Let's look at the work we did in that upper left-hand corner there. We combined 12 and 8 to make it to the next 10, and we have 1 left over. So what is our new easier problem? 20 plus 1, and that's so easy for us to use mental math to solve. 20 plus 1 is 21. What does that mean about 12 plus 9? It also equals 21. Wonderful. 17 plus 8. We already know the first thing we're going to do is look at the tens frames. We have a double tens frame at the top, and we have a tens frame of 8 at the bottom. Let your eyes look at the tens frames of 17. How many more does 17 need to fill up its tens frames and make the next 10? That's right, it needs 3 more. And we know we can get 3 more from the 8. Count along with me. 1, 2, 3. We filled up our tens frame, and we can see that that tens frame of 8 has 5 left. Now let's look back at the expression at the top of the page, 17 plus 8, and we're going to do the same thing. Let's focus our attention on the 8. We'll decompose this 8 into smaller parts to help us make the next 10 and make an easier expression for us to add. The first thing we're going to do is pull a 3 from the 8 to help 17 get to the next 10. And if we take 3 from the 8, we have 5 left. Let's combine 17 and 3, and that helps us get to the next 10, which is 20. And we have 5 more left over. What are we going to do with that 5? What is our easier problem? If you said 20 plus 5, you are correct, and we can solve that instantly. 20 plus 5 is 25. What do we know about 17 plus 8? You got it, 17 plus 8 is also 25. We call these equivalent expressions. Equivalent means they are equal. 17 plus 8 and 20 plus 5 are equivalent expressions, and they both equal 25. Wonderful. 19 plus 7. You already know what we're doing first. Let your eyes look at those tens frames. We have a double tens frames for 19, and we have a tens frame of 7. We can see instantly that 19 needs 1 more to make it to the next 10, which is 20. and we know exactly where we're getting one more from. We're going to get it from the 7. So now we have 20 and 6 more. Let your eyes look at the expression again at the top, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Let's zoom in on that 7. We can decompose the 7 into 1 because we know 19 needs one more to make the next 10, which is 20, and we'll have 6 left over. Let's combine the 19 and 1 to get 20, and we know we need to add that 6 on for our new easier expression. What new problem did you make? If you said 20 plus 6, you are correct, and we know right away 20 plus 6 equals 26. That was a lot easier for me to add in my head than 19 plus 7. Was it easier for you? We know that 19 plus 7 and 20 plus 6 are equivalent, so it's also going to equal 26. Now let's try a few without our tens frames. Look at 45 plus 8. Let your eyes look at 45. What is the next 10? If you said 50, you are correct. And how many more does 45 need to get to 50? If you said 5, you are correct. Where are we going to get that 5 more from? You're right, we can get it from the 8. Let's zoom in on the 8. We can decompose the 8 into parts of 5. And if we take 5 away from 8, that means we'll have 3 left. What do we do next? Let's combine 45 and 5 to make the next 10, which is 50. How many do we have left over? Yes, we have 3 left over. What is your new, easier problem? If you said 50 plus 3, you are correct, and we can see automatically that 50 plus 3 is 53. Now we know that 50 plus 3 and 45 plus 8 are equivalent, so they both have the same answer of 53. Ready for one more? Look at 63 plus 9. Focus your eyes on the 63. What is the next 10? If you said 70, you are correct. And how many more does 63 need to get to 70? I'm going to use my skills, my partner to 10 skills here. What I did is looked at the 3. I know 3 in the ones place needs 7 more to make a 10. So 63 needs 7 more to get to the next 10, which is 70. And where can I get those 7 more from? We can get it right from the 9. Let's decompose that 9 into 2 parts. We know we need a part of 7, and that means we're going to have another part of 2. Let's combine 63 and 7 to get to that next 10, which is 70. And how many do we have left over? We have 2 left over to add on to the 70. What is your easier problem? 70 plus 2, and we know right away that equals 72. Now we know that 70 plus 2 and 63 plus 9 are equivalent, and we'll both have the same answer of 72. Great counting and adding today. Did you know making a 10 to add is a level 3 counting strategy? We are making important connections to make problems easier to solve. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.